doesn't look like it's doing anything, and then all of a sudden it jumps into life.
I think technology scares you, Dave, doesn't it?
It does today, mate. Right, we all set? All good? All right, hi everybody. Welcome to Cloud Realities, a conversation show about what cloud-driven transformation really means for businesses and humans. I'm Dave Chapman, and we are still at reInvent, end of day 3 now. So we're about to head off, pack up the gear and head home. With me still is roving reporter Rob Kernahan.
Hello.
How you doing, mate?
Yeah, last one, bit sad.
Bit sad, but relieved to be heading home.
Yeah, and no pressure from having to come up with themes for every episode anymore, Dave, as well. Pressure's off.
You'll be able to sleep next week.
Well, yeah. Get back to normal.
Yeah, exactly. And we're delighted to say we've got Hemant Sharma, Partner Solutions Architect from AWS with us this afternoon. Hi, Hemant. Would you want to say hello and say a bit about yourself and your role?
Thanks, Dave. Thanks for having me. To all of you, I'm Hemant Sharma. I'm dedicated Partner Solution Architect for Capgemini. I work with innovative idea with Capgemini, build solution, work on the opportunity, deliver technical workshops, and anything related to technical, I work with the innovative people in Capgemini.
Cool. Welcome. It's good to have you here.
Yeah.
And what we're going to do in this final episode is just take a step back and have a look across the week and see what are the big themes that have sprung out to us. So each day, Rob has been reporting on the trends in the show, and what we've done is sort of group them together, we think, into specific sort of areas that we think are going to kind of really impact the industry over the course of the next 12 months. So we're going to start with something that you may not be surprised by if you've listened to the episodes this week. We are focused quite heavily on the people and leadership elements of cloud transformation, and we've seen that as a theme throughout the conference itself. It's something we're particularly passionate about, but what have we seen about it, Rob, this week?
So, big conversation, especially with Phil, around lack of capability and skills.
Right,
people needing
yes.
to train up, people needing to change the way they think about the skills that they have and what they need to do for the future. And then John talked about general purpose tools and how there's always a lag, like in the industrial revolution.
Yeah.
So through that, how do you make the people feel safe as they're changing their roles in their job, psychological security, and that they're able to get access to things they need to be able to pivot and change so we can get enough capacity into the system. The other thing that's very notable is a lot of the announcements this week made it a lot easier for people to get things done.
Yeah.
So you can spend more time on high value activities, if you think about what we've heard, and less time doing the basics. So less burden to deliver technology and architecture. So we're making it easier for people, and we just need to double down on strong leadership to allow people to get the skills and the training they need, but make it in an environment where they can thrive and they don't feel threatened about change in their environment. So for me, that was the sort of key areas that I heard and we've discussed on the podcast.
Indeed, and this notion of psychological safety has come a few times. We talked about it this week in terms of it's like a must-have to create creative and agile environments, because it's within those sorts of environments that people feel free and able to create and not under pressure, and actually have a safe space if something doesn't go particularly well, and use that as a learning exercise. So, Hemant, how does this theme resonate with you? What have you seen this week that's caught your eye?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm totally with you on this. So as a employer, you want your employees to be continuous enhancing your skill, right? So giving the space people that they can spend some time and enhance their skills. And intention is one part, but in AWS you might have seen that we provide the infrastructure and the video trainings and testing labs where people can go and learn. So intention is, yes, provide the psychological vision, but unless and until you have the underneath infrastructure for training, that you can basically find in AWS, right? So for partners, we have hundreds of thousands of digital online program available. You can find a lot of free AWS services, so people can go and get their hands dirty on, right? And as a partner solution architect, we also conduct a lot of labs and workshops. So with these mechanism, intention plus the services provided by AWS, that basically will gain the end result of skill enhancement.
Yeah, that's an excellent shout out to the free tier services. One of the big things for me is experiential learning, going and doing it on the job or trying it but not having to pay for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All being free means it's easy, a very low bar of entry to go and try it, fire up the nano instances, get them and see what you can do.
And I mean, I think that point about low bar of entry is so important.
Yeah.
It's so critical to tap into communities that might have felt excluded by, kind of very high bars to entry in careers like this. And the other thing that resonated with me that Phil was talking about is really organizations really focusing on reskilling their existing staff. Just because, say, your data center teams don't know cloud today, doesn't mean that they can't retrain in cloud and bring all of the knowledge of your organization forward with them.
In fact, those are the people who you should be retraining to become platform engineers because they've got the same type of skill. They just need to learn the new tools.
Absolutely, totally with you. And these are the guys who possess the right skill. They know the enterprise architecture which they already implemented. So it gives them an edge. So if you're helping yourself by helping employee learn a new skill.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. Well said. Moving on to the second major theme then for us this week. It has all been around data and machine learning. Lots of innovation around the tool set on machine learning. Machine learning sessions in particular. A number of our guys who've been out on the floor and going to a lot of sessions have noted just how rammed machine learning sessions are at the moment. So what's going on with that, Rob? What's your observation about its popularity?
So it's obviously a hot topic everyone's interested in, and people can feel the potential in ML. But a lot of the sessions this week have been very technically focused because people are learning the trade. They're starting to understand how it works and how to create the environments where they can apply it. I think over the next 12, 24 months, got to see the business and sector applications associated with these ML environments. And there's a lot out there, but I think I know it's a great thing, but how do I apply it to get an outcome?
The use case element to really bring it to life.
Yeah, and I think when you get the power in that, in the previous podcast we were talking about Alexa, what do I need to worry about today? Well, it's the ML doing the hunting to find the interesting points so I don't have to spend hours trawling through data. So you think about the productivity gain that it could bring for us, and again, going back to allowing people to spend more time on high value activities, it's going to be one of the key productivity boosts we get in business over the next few years, I think.
Hemant, what's been your observations this year about the focus on data and more importantly, kind of bringing some intelligence to using the thing in a different way, perhaps?
Yeah, absolutely. I would like to take a step back, and if you look at the past two reInvent themes, so data analytics and machine learning was one of the top tier focus point, right? And we rolled out like end-to-end machine learning pipelines and rolling out a single ID for machine learning where all the team can go and work as a single project. Earlier, before SageMaker Studio, there was not a single ML-based ID because if you look at the lifespan of a ML project, it is basically different from a traditional application lifecycle. So we spend a lot of effort and energy on that. And if you look at this year, we are kind of like enhancing on those products. Like if you look at what we rolled out this year, we rolled out the machine learning governance on top of SageMaker, right? So different teams might be working on different data. But what we are driving now that we are giving a ML governance framework where all the team can see that, okay, what is the performance of all the model deployed on the production, right? Or look at the monitoring of ML, who got access to what kind of data. So all this kind of governance is basically getting deployed on that. One more side theme to ML I would like to highlight is ML is one thing, but you need a data feed for ML, all right? And here comes the ETL part. So you might have heard this particular thing that ML is one thing, but in ML projects, 70% of the time goes in the ETL, data cleansing, and data augmentation.
Much like any other data project in history.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's all about the quality of the data.
So another theme which basically aligned with ML theme is that reduce ETL time or automate your entire ETL, right? So if you look at what we have done this year is basically now whatever data goes into Aurora, that is in zero time, it is totally available for the Redshift. Right. And whatever data is in the Redshift, it is available for the Spark. So suppose if you're running Spark on Glue or EMR, so basically you got your Spark data from Redshift and coming from Aurora.
And that was one of the other themes we discussed this week, which is integration of the services, making everything available really easily, so you reduce the friction, so I can get results faster out of all the platforms, and that's that maturity rise that we see.
And one more thing I would like to mention here, you might have seen one of the announcement for INF2 instance. So all the deep learning model which basically uses high compute, high memory. So we rolled out the INF1 last year and then now INF2. So INF2 basically gives you 50% better performance per watt. So we are covering sustainability, right?
Right, I was going to come on to sustainability.
Yeah, absolutely. So INF2 provides better performance but with a similar power consumption. And we are providing more tools and capacity for our ML geeks. They can run and deploy deep learning models in INF2.
So let's just dwell on the point you make about sustainability, though, which is, ML by its nature, hugely processor heavy, and therefore, could burn more cycles and such like. So just what does INF2 do and how does it contribute to that?
So INF2 is basically, if you look at for training your deep learning machine model, if you are not using our SageMaker, which is our managed service, right, as a ML geek, if you simply want that, okay, just give me a very powerhouse packed instance where all the GPU based instances there with a brighter capacity. So we got INF2.
Yeah.
So it's a GPU loaded, and you can run your deep learning machine learning model, which is anyway GPU and compute heavy. So INF2 is a successor of INF1, and in nutshell, if I try to compare, same wattage but 50% better performance compared to INF1.
Very good, very good. Okay, moving on to the big theme 3 that we picked out, which is this notion of absurd scale. So
yes,
obviously the cloud itself, has got absurd scale, but I think what we are spotting here is abilities to create super massive infrastructures.
Yeah.
Maybe not a single keystroke, but of a much more simplified scaling model.
Absolutely. So especially today, we heard that things that would have taken us months to prepare for, even just a few years ago, can now be done in moments. 10,000 node clusters, event-driven architectures that can answer the world's largest use cases for the world's biggest organizations. So you don't have to worry now, it's all taken care of. But also that maturity of that, which is the observability of what's going on over the top.
Right.
When you've got these supermassive architectures, how do you know what's going on? So not only is it the ability to get that scale at pace, it's also the ability to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
And then when you apply it to the data point and the all the discovery things that are going on around using the machine to tell you what to worry about, you suddenly bring a real practicality to these things can do great things and they're easy to manage, whereas normally these types of architectures
they're very unwieldy.
Too hard to manage,
Yeah.
too hard to scale, too hard to control, and also cost associated with it, whereas now we get a much easier entry point into these types of playgrounds.
Right. So Hemant, have you been seeing the same thing?
Absolutely. So if you look at one of the feature which we got rolled out in CloudWatch, so CloudWatch, as you know, is kind of like it collects log, matrices, and events, right? So in this event, basically, we rolled out a new feature, CloudWatch, which basically provide you visibility cross account, cross region, right? So you might have deployed your workload in Singapore or in India or in US, right? So using this particular capability, now you get the visibility of all the logs which is happening across the regions, right?
Yeah.
And same goes with the Grafana. So right, we rolled out a couple of new features with the Grafana, where it's supposed within the VPC it got the alerting system now. So absolutely, we are seeing more and more security and observability related features coming out of in this arena.
Yeah, absolutely. And like Rob, from a point of view of triggering supermassive architectures, have you got thoughts on what a case study might be, or what a use case for something like that might be?
So, I mean, this is where the imagination has to kick in about what you can do with it. But if you think about retail on very large scale, massive supply chain architectures, the logistics associated with those global integrations, being able to see in real time where things are within those types of infrastructures, the physical infrastructures, can allow very large organizations to pivot quickly and make better business decisions.
And not only that as well, I think when you do apply to something like supply chain, there's a huge sustainability uplift for optimizing that situation.
Yeah, you see into it, you understand what's going on, and you can optimize. So operational excellence, which many organizations will need to think about, especially in 2023, and optimization, these are the types of tools and techniques that you're going to have to apply to understand, and then you can make objective decisions and not subjective ones. So you can get the clarity you need to be able to then go and execute. But when you do execute, you can do it on scale very quickly as well.
Very good. So our final theme of the day is evolution, not revolution. I think our observation is it's been an important year because it's been a year of doubling down on maturity, simplifying, pulling together componentry into sort of more platform-based structures that ultimately I think will lead to more industry cloud use cases. So what else has been going on that's given us the impression that there's been nothing majorly new, but a really important set of releases in terms of maturing the platform?
Absolutely. We've seen a maturity cycle. There's still a bit of catch-up to go. We discussed about certification catch-up and consistency of interaction model. What we've seen is all the things that would trouble us around the plumbing that add not little value but were necessary have been fixed for us. So the big thing for me is through that maturity, the abstraction, the ability to, we discussed the thing from the marketplace deployed straight to live that would strike fear into some people and joy into others at the beginning. These types of things, the deep level of abstraction means that the high value stuff can go on, and that just strikes in maturity. The optimization under the covers, allowing us to do better things above, and it's very clear integration, data scale, performance, all of the things that we would want naturally have just been massively improved this year.
And I think with something like that, it's very, very aligned with what we're seeing more in the market more widely.
That's right.
So platform architectures in particular are becoming just more and more usable and more integratable. So moving away from like real toolbox componentry to actually integrating at platform level. Yeah,
and I think in IT, there's a trait where people want to reinvent the wheel a lot because it's quite good fun building the wheel in technology and rebuilding platforms. The people are waking up, lack of skills, need to get to be able to go faster, get pace into my organization, that we want one platform, we want to drive consistency, and we want to go fast and focus on outcomes, which is what John was on about. And I think that there's organizational maturity kicking in about the stop the toil and start the value work and the value creation work going on. And I think the sort of announcements we heard this week are really going to enable these organizations to
faster time to
deliver
value.
It. Absolutely.
Hemant, sound good?
Absolutely. So not only we came out of with the feature which aligned with the evaluation, but if you look at we are addressing some of the common use cases like governance, right? So when I talk about provide some governance over the ML, or like one of the other feature we rolled out, like Amazon Data Zone, right? So basically in an organization, so think of a scenario, different team might be working in silos, and one team might have already done which other team is trying to do it again, right? So if think of a scenario that team A want to share some data with team B, which they don't know anything about it. So Amazon Data Zone is kind of like addressing that problem that you have publisher, you have subscriber, and without an organizational boundaries, with using the inbuilt governance model, you can share this data. So it's not only the features, but governance and the no ETL, which we talk about, the automation of the ETL. So as a developer, I don't have to worry about when I'm sleeping, my data will be flowing from Aurora to Redshift, right? So solving my problem. So next day I'll go and run whatever I do. So it's features, governance, automation, that kind of stuff working.
Very good. And then when you look at all of that in the round, we've got a focus on people, making sure they're skilled, making sure they're psychologically safe and becoming effective. And it's that combination of things that will drive agility, supported by increasing numbers of machine learning tools, but being driven on sustainable infrastructures or increasingly sustainable infrastructures, which also helps support ability to create supermassive architectures in a much more simple, straightforward, and I assume highly likely to be automated ways. And then finally, across the entire platform, a drive to simplify, a drive to make it more usable. And again, I guess that's going to play into the agility piece. So what have we missed, Hemant, from you going looking around? Have we missed anything key?
We didn't miss it actually, but if I look at from a different angle, so as I mentioned that for Amazon, data analytics and ML was always on the frontier, right? But on top of that, there is one more trend. If you look at the serverless piece, right, within data analytics and machine learning. So if you can recall, the last reInvent, we rolled out a lot of serverless applications in data and analytics, right? So Amazon EMR, Redshift, then managed service of Kafka, and I can see the same thing is kind of like driven in this reInvent also. We rolled out OpenSearch as a serverless application.
Right.
So
right.
that's the only probably piece I would say that going along with the data analytics and machine learning.
There has been a maturity lift again in the serverless and the serverless architectures we're doing. And in fact, serverless architecture will probably in the next 12, 24 months come of age, and we'll see a much higher level of adoption inside major enterprises. I think it's been in the market long enough for people to get a feel so that we don't get the clash of the asynchronous and the synchronous architectures causing issues, and people are getting more used to designing systems that work using serverless.
Yeah. So that brings us to a bit of a conclusion on that. But before we leave the conversation, I just wonder about your personal highlights.
So I always love coming to Vegas. Bright lights, big city.
Yeah.
But I also love picking up my boarding pass and getting on the plane and going home, because it really does take out of you. The energy at this place is amazing, but it's very intense, and it's been a hard week, but it's been a good week.
That moment of deep comfort when the plane pushes back from the terminal and starts to taxi, it's like that is the most relaxing moment of the week. Hey man, what about you? Personal highlight?
Yeah, so the first thing that it's my first reInvent and first time I've been to
This is your first reInvent?
Yeah, absolutely.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So
well, so what are your impressions then?
It's huge, it's humongous, and look at the motivation and the enthusiasm people carry, right? And the innovation is in the air, we can clearly see that. And you talk to a lot of people, and then you find a lot of connections and things roll out in your favor. I have a couple of occasions, and probably I'll tell you after this. But and second thing, being a techie, I love the Amazon Data Zone.
Right.
That solves a governance problem. People don't know what's going on in their own organization, so that's kind of like big for me.
Very good. And for me, the highlight really is actually where we've spent most of the week, which is the expo floor. So the expo floor to me has been so vibrant and energetic this year. It's felt more like a festival, I think, than a sort of a trade show. And what I love about it is it's like it almost represents a microcosm of the industry itself. So you look around, you can see things changing the whole time, like year on year. There's like companies that go away, companies that get added. There's an amazing amount of new stuff in the hall this year. I think there's a lot about platform abstraction still, like lots of things going on that are helping build platforms. That's probably. I always have a bit of doubt about platform abstraction, but we'll leave that for another podcast. But there's a bunch of the third parties doing that at the moment, I think. Yeah. But anyway, yes, the expo, connecting with people has just been amazing. Like I've seen so many people here that I haven't seen since last reInvent, probably. So look, we like to end the show by asking our guest what you're excited about doing next.
So for me, I think I would see more emphasis and focus on like evaluation part, right? I think data analytics serverless would be there, but I am really happy the way the governance piece is being addressed now and the automation ETL. So I would also like to see more evaluation part in next reInvent also, along with the couple of big announcements.
Brilliant. I thought you were going to say go home. Very good answer. Very well done. Look, so thanks, Hemant. It was really good to see you, and thanks for taking the time to do it. A lot of fun.
Same
thanks
here.
for your insights.
Thanks a lot for having me here.
Yeah, our pleasure. Rob, what an amazing job you guys have done this week.
And I'd just like to make a shout out for Sam Price and John Ogden, who have been supplying me with lots of intel and insight and attending the sessions.
You said you were the roving reporter.
Well, there may have been a small team working with me.
Yeah. Well, they've done an amazing
job. Great job, yeah, so thank you guys.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys, feeding us with the information that has allowed us to try and paint a picture of it so quickly. Like, the show's barely even finished yet.
There's so much scale to this place to try and capture the essence of it. It's been a tough call for those guys, but they've done a fantastic job.
Yeah, exactly. I want to thank Marcel, Ben, and the production team for all of the support and the work that's gone into this week. Turning the episodes around quickly is no mean feat, and that has been great. So thank you very much for that. We are on LinkedIn. Give us a follow. And next week, we'll be back to our regular Thursday release slot. So do join us next week, where we'll be looking at the evolution of or the digitalization of the marketing industry. We will see you in another reality then.